Almost everyone thinks that if you get sleep apnea, it's because you're overweight. Now, for some people, sure, but that doesn't really explain the anatomy of why you're getting sleep apnea. Because a lot of times I see people who have sleep apnea that are really thin, they look fit, and they're young, sometimes even kids. And it's because a lot of times it comes down to things that no one really thinks about, like the size of your jaw. So in this video, I'm gonna talk about why small jaws are quietly becoming an epidemic and how to see if your jaw might be too small. Now think of your airway or your breathing tubes as kind of like a box. And if you have a smaller jaw, it's going to shrink that box. So a small jaw doesn't inherently cause sleep apnea, but it does end up making breathing more difficult. You see, within this box, like within your mouth, you have to have your tongue, your teeth, and all this soft tissue that has to exist. So if you don't have enough room for all of these things, like for example, if you don't have enough room for your tongue to exist in the right spot, it's gonna end up taking more room in that box, especially if that box is already kind of cramped. And now if you lie down flat on your back and your tongue doesn't have anywhere to go, instead of resting on the roof of the mouth where it's supposed to, it can kind of fall back because of gravity and then completely constrict your breathing. This can cause snoring or sleep apnea, where your tongue completely falls back and completely cuts off your breathing. So sleep apnea is literally when you start choking in the middle of your sleep. And it's measured by something called an AHI score. This is your apnea-hypopnea index. So in order to be diagnosed with sleep apnea, you need to have a certain amount of events for a certain amount of time. And this can be measured as like mild to moderate or severe sleep apnea. So for example, within an hour, if 5 times you start choking and you start choking for 10 seconds each of those 5 times, then you are considered the most mild version of sleep apnea. If this only happened to you 4 times, then you would not be qualified as sleep apnea. Or if this only happened for 9 seconds instead of 10 seconds, then again, it wouldn't be sleep apnea. Now thinking about that, you might think like, well, I don't want to be choking for any time, whether it's 9 seconds or 10 seconds, but that is the cutoff, and that's how sleep apnea is actually diagnosed. Now obviously it's a little bit more involved than that, but that's kind of a nutshell. Now a lot of times people aren't born with sleep apnea. It's a lot of times an end of a progression of disease. A lot of times instead, people get like this flow limitation or this airway limitation. This is called upper airway resistance syndrome, or UARS. To keep it simple, you're not breathing as easily. You're only getting part of a breath, and you have to work harder to get that breath. Now this can happen for a number of reasons. You could have really large tonsils, your tongue could start falling back, your jaw could be really small. It doesn't just mean that you're really overweight. Even bodybuilders, for example, are more prone to getting sleep apnea because their neck muscles are really thick. But whatever the reason is, you're working harder to get each breath. And luckily your brain doesn't wake up, it just knows automatically we need to breathe, and you can keep sleeping and your brain will kind of automatically fix this. But over time, this will slowly cause more chronic inflammation and chronic stress in your body. And eventually this can start to deteriorate and turn into full-blown sleep apnea, where you start choking for longer throughout the night. What you gotta keep in mind is your jaw is the initial starting point of how air enters your lungs. So a small jaw is going to put you at a severe disadvantage. And if you have a small jaw, along with any of the other things I talked about, like your big tonsils, or a large tongue, or a tongue that doesn't have enough room, or a deviated septum, for example, where your nose, you probably can't breathe properly, all these things can play a part. Now here are 3 signs your jaw is too small for you. One of the signs is if you have a scalloped tongue. This is if like the sides of your tongue have these like wavy, like rippled edges. If you see a tongue like this, or if you look in the mirror and your tongue kind of looks like this, those wavy edges are actually your teeth that are imprinting on your tongue. And what that means is there's not enough room for your tongue. Because ideally, your tongue should be resting against the roof of the mouth. Not just the tip of the tongue, but also the middle and back part of your tongue. And if it's resting there comfortably, that basically means you have enough room, and you have less likely that your tongue is gonna fall back and cut off your breathing. And then your tongue is gonna stay forward and out of the way. But when there's not enough room, then your tongue is kind of resting on your teeth, and your teeth are gonna be imprinting on it. The second sign is if you have crowded teeth, or if you had teeth pulled for braces because your teeth were crowded. The reason you have crowded teeth, 9 times out of 10, is because your jaw is too small to fit all of your teeth. This a lot of times is why people need to get their wisdom teeth pulled, because their jaw just simply didn't grow enough for their wisdom teeth to come in the right position. And number 3 is if you have a really high, narrow palate. So if you open your mouth and then you tilt your head up and you look in the mirror and you see like the roof of the mouth, if it looks really broad and wide, that's a good thing. But if it looks really kind of narrow and like really high up, and it's really hard for your tongue to reach the roof of the mouth because your roof of the mouth is really high up, that's what we call a high, narrow palate. Some people even call it a V-shaped palate because it kind of looks the shape of a V instead of a U, which is what you want. This is basically a sign that your jaw did not grow forward and wide enough, and everything's really narrow. Now, all these signs are similar to the sign of someone being a mouth breather. So a mouth breather is someone who breathes more in and out of their mouth instead of their nose. Ideally, we should be breathing out of our nose at all times because our bodies were literally designed to breathe in and out of our nose. And we even have studies that show when people switch over from mouth breathing over to nose breathing, that their incidence of sleep apnea and this like airway resistance goes way down. So breathing through your nose is really important. But some of the other signs of mouth breathing is if you have like a really skinny, like narrow looking face, or if you have like droopy eyelids, if you start snoring, if you start grinding your teeth, all of these are signs that are typical with mouth breathers. You see, a lot of people think that snoring is normal. Like, oh, if someone's in deep sleep, they're sleeping real good because they're snoring. Or if a kid is snoring, this is really cute. Yeah, it can be cute, but snoring is actually not normal. You do not want snoring. Snoring instead is a sign that the airway or the breathing is being obstructed by something. So you can see the importance of our jaws, and if we have wider, more forward growing jaws and we have enough room for our teeth, how this can really relate to how we're breathing when we're sleeping. So why did our jaws start shrinking? Like, what is this hidden epidemic that's going on? There's really two main drivers as to why our jaws got smaller. And it's not really anything with genetics, because all of this happened pretty recently. The first driver is we stopped chewing our food as much. So this really all started after industrialization. After industrialization, our foods got a lot more refined and we didn't really need to chew it as much. Now, for example, if you look at like before industrialization, like our great-great-grandparents or our ancestors, they used to chew food a lot more. There's actually studies showing that our ancestors used to chew food for 4 hours out of the day. Can you imagine chewing food for 4 hours? I can't. But that's because their food was a lot more tough, it was a lot more fibrous, it was a lot more dense, so they had to spend all that time chewing their food. And because they started doing that from a very early age, these stem cells in their jaws were programmed to start growing more forward and wide. And this was actually covered really well in detail in the book Jaws by Dr. Sandra Kahn. But basically it's kind of like your muscles. If you don't work it out, if you don't actually chew the foods, then your jaw is not going to find the reason to grow. Now the second driver, and I think part of this was because of the first driver, is because of mouth breathing. So it's kind of like an infinite loop. So when you are a mouth breather, this can actually reshape the jaw. Or when you grow up as a mouth breather, it actually causes your jaw to not grow as wide. Now you might wonder, how the heck does my breathing have anything to do with how my jaw is growing? Well, the answer is your tongue. So when you're a nose breather, ideally, your tongue should be resting against the roof of the mouth, not just the tip of the tongue, but also the middle and back part of your tongue. Then your lips should be closed and your teeth should be slightly touching. When your mouth posture is like this, you're not going to be breathing through your mouth. You're going to be breathing through your nose pretty much at all times. But also your tongue being against the roof of the mouth is like a constant light pressure that will cause the roof of the mouth or your jaw to grow forward and wide. And when your upper jaw grows, your bottom jaw will follow it. Now instead, if your jaw didn't grow and you don't have enough room for your tongue and your mouth is always open, instead of breathing in and out of your nose, you're going to be breathing in and out of your mouth. So when you're a mouth breather, your tongue drops to the floor and your palate or the roof of the mouth stays high up, and your jaw, again, doesn't have that stimulus to grow forward and wide. So it's a never-ending cycle where your mouth breathing kind of contributes to that mouth being small in the first place, and because your mouth is small, it's harder for your tongue to be up against the roof of the mouth and become a nose breather. So it reinforces, again, you being a mouth breather. Now, I made some other videos talking about mouth breathing and nose breathing, and I made it more in detail, so if you want to learn more about it, check out one of the links in the description below. Now, this whole concept is new to a lot of people, even orthodontists who are known to straighten the teeth, because for a long time what they were taught is that there's nothing they can really do with the facial features, so their only goal was to just straighten the teeth. So a lot of times what they did was, if they don't have enough room for all the teeth, they would just pull 4 premolars. For example, when I was a kid and I had to get braces, there was a lot of crowding, so they took 4 of my premolars out to straighten everything out. But now a lot of orthodontists are trying to get away from that. They're trying to save as many teeth as possible, because when they pull teeth, sometimes they create too much room, so they have to pull everything back and they keep everything constricted. But now we have studies showing that the more teeth you pull and the more that your jaw kind of gets shifted back, the more likely you are to have things like sleep apnea. So straight teeth are always the goal, but sometimes this comes at a price of breathing. And I think that now more and more people are trying to accomplish both. Get the straight teeth, but also try to make enough room for everything. So what can you actually do? Like, I'm telling you all this information, am I just screwed? Well, if you have a small jaw, don't worry. You don't have to go get a surgery or anything like that. I mean, you could if you wanted to. If you really wanted to, there are some surgeries out there that could actually widen your jaw and make more room if you really wanted to do that. I personally don't feel like doing that. The number one thing I'd recommend to start doing is to work on your nose. Try to breathe in and out of your nose at pretty much all times. Like, if you're working out or exercising a lot, that's one thing, but pretty much all times where you're not exerting yourself. So if you chronically have allergies or congestion, part of that could be because you're not really using your nose in the first place. So you want to try to address this first. And you'll find that the more you actually use your nose, the less you'll have this congestion. So it's going to take some time, but try to really work on this. Sometimes they have those like saline rinses that go in one nostril and in the other. You can use like a nasal spray. And if you really want to, once you're able to start breathing through your nose better, you can use a mouth tape when you're sleeping. The tape that I like to use is called 3M micropore paper tape. It's literally a medical grade tape. You tape it over your lips and it basically just resists your lips from opening. You can still breathe through your mouth if you have to, but now it kind of encourages you to use your nose. And once you get in this cycle, you'll start breathing through your nose more naturally. The second thing you want to focus on is really just focus on keeping your tongue up against the roof of the mouth. Now I made some videos on like some tongue exercises if you want to check those out. So I'm putting a link to that video in the description below. If you're an adult, that's really the two best things you can do because you can't really manipulate your jaw anymore, like I said, unless you get a surgery. But if you do that, it's gonna help. And I'd also recommend, if you're really worried, getting a sleep study because they might still find something and you might still benefit from some sort of device like a CPAP or maybe even like some advancement device where they kind of pull your jaw forward and kind of open up your airway so you can breathe a little better. For kids, this is the golden window because now you can kind of manipulate their jaws without getting any surgery, especially until they hit puberty. So I'd recommend just going to the orthodontist as early as possible and also reinforcing nasal breathing at home. Anyways, thank you guys for watching. I hope you liked that video. If you haven't already, hit that thumbs up button and subscribe to my channel below. And I will see you in the next video. So if you had braces as a kid and your mouth was too small, there's a chance they might have pulled 4 of your healthy teeth to make enough room to straighten out all your teeth. I know because this happened to me. When I was a kid and I was getting braces, I was so excited to have straight teeth. And then they told me I have to pull 4 of my premolars. And I was like, wait, what? You mean my adult teeth? But yep, next thing you knew, I was in the